Hey, and welcome back to Facilitators of Healing. Today, my guest is Karen Evans. I love Karen. She is the salt of the earth, Christ-led, heart-led human. And she's also a certified Revelation Breathwork facilitator. She's an advanced Pranic Healer and a former registered nurse who brings a really grounded, embodied approach to healing and wellness. And she's also a Tony Robbins University grad and an entrepreneur and a course creator and a mom and a wife and just a great person. And what I really appreciate about Karen is how she bridges the worlds of science and energy and like practical lived experience. A lot of her work is focused on supporting women navigating breast cancer like she did and her mother did and other major life transitions, helping them reconnect with themselves, with their bodies, with their regulating their nervous systems, and finding this deeper sense of grounded peace and resilience of their true inner power, who you really are. That's Karen's jam. We have a great conversation talking about all this, and I know you're going to love it. Let us know what you think after you listen or watch it. I am really excited to be spending this time here with you, Karen. Thanks so much for being here.
Yay. So
Karen is
happy to be
Karen's
here.
teaching in our membership on Mondays, Monday nights, Monday evenings. So if you're inspired by this interview and you want to experience more of Karen's love and her facilitation and space holding, we'll put the information here so you can experience that for yourself in the show notes. We'd love to have you inside of our community. And so let's dive right in. Karen, what was
Yay.
your first Revelation Breathwork experience like?
Okay, so I was trying to go back and think about this. So I think my very first experience was probably in 2019 to 2020. I'm pretty sure that I did the facilitator stuff in 2020. So I would say in 2019. Fun fact is I went to Tony Robbins and did Date with Destiny, which I've done all the Tony Robbins. Love him, but I did Date with Destiny. And my partner at Date with Destiny was the manifestation baby herself. So Catherine
Oh,
Zinke.
wow.
Yeah. So we were partners for that full week of Date with Destiny. And I believe she's the one that came back and had started taking classes with you. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know. I feel like this is something I need to dive into. And so, yeah, I just registered for a class and jumped right in after I had talked to her about it one time. So, my first experience was massive. Like, I just didn't, I don't know. I guess going into it, I was like, okay, like, I knew that breath work could do great things and that, it was good for my body, that I needed to do it. But I had no clue about all of just the divine experience that you get to experience with Revelation Breathwork. It completely supersedes any other breathwork out there in that perspective, because you really do have time to hone in and spend time with God, and that is very priceless. And so that was just probably my big experience with that. Definitely, like, I could physically tell the difference within my body. But then it was like it was a preparation, like to get me ready to be able to handle that interaction with God, with the divine. And so, yeah, it was huge. And I honestly, every single breath work that I have, like, they might not all be that like massive of a shift for me, but every single time I still get to experience my guides. I get to experience God in some sort of perspective. And so for me, that's what keeps bringing me back every single time.
I love that. And we definitely share that this love for God, love for life, this devotion to the divine and having that be an expression through us. And that's not everybody's experience. That's why it's called Revelation Breathwork. That was the revelation for me. It was like, oh, like I had some of those experiences in the past. They were like a handful and few and far between. But then it was like, oh, this is so easy. It's so simple. It's like it's right here. So I appreciate you sharing that because not everybody has that experience, and I don't know why. I mean, obviously, so many people are different, but was your experience? Was it online? Did I facilitate? Was it someone else? Like, I'm curious.
Yes, the first experience was with you and online.
And you're
Yeah,
in Kentucky?
and I'm in Kentucky.
And
Yeah,
I was in LA at the time. I think it's so cool just the Zoom and how we've had people all over the world. I mean, you facilitate for people all over the world to be able
for
to do
sure.
this work
It's
so speak to
wonderful.
that real quick. We're jumping ahead, but speak to this idea as a facilitator. Why do you think it just translates so effortlessly over Zoom where some people are like, "Oh, in person's better. That's the way to go." But then why does it translate so simply on Zoom?
Well, I do think that this practice itself it's a personal practice, right? I mean, like whatever you get to experience, it's your experience. You don't have to do it with a group. You don't have to, be in a room and feel all of this energy come through. I think the energy comes through with the music, right? Like music truly is energy. And so you get to hear it, you get to experience it in that perspective. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons for me that it translates just easy because it truly is your personal experience, and what you can get out of it. Like it's going to happen whether you're at home, whether you're in the middle of a room. It don't matter. Like it's going to happen. So I think that's a cool thought. And also too, I would also like say, even in my own perspective, I feel like we feel safe at home, right? Like our home life, for the most part, for most people, we have made our homes our safe space. And so whenever you're in your own safe space, like you feel a little bit more open to actually go for that primal scream, right? To go for the breath and to keep pulling it in. So I think that also holds a pretty big key.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so let's go back for a second. So you were at Date with Destiny, Tony Robbins. Were you a coach at the time? Were you doing coaching? Like, what were you up to professionally? And then what inspired you after you started experiencing Revelation Breathwork? Obviously, were you in Catherine's world at that time? And then
I
like,
was.
why did you decide to take the training? Where you're like, oh, I want to just deepen in my own practice, or I want to bring this to the work I do? Share a little bit more about that with us.
For sure. So whenever I did Date with Destiny, at that point in time, like I was just like a kid in a candy store whenever I went to Tony's events. Like I was like, oh my gosh, give me all the things, right? Like just keep feeding me these things. Because the events with Tony they just are life changing, right? I mean, he just throws you into this submersion for usually 4 to 5 days, and so it really does make life altering things happen. I'll tell you, I have one of my I think it's one of my best stories, to be honest. But at UPW, you do firewalking,
What's
and literal.
UPW for people that don't know?
So that's Unleash the Power Within. That is his very first, like that's kind of his signature event. And so whenever you go live, you literally walk on fire. And I remember my husband was telling me, "Hey, I think we walk on fire," and I was like, "Okay." Like, I mean, like I couldn't fathom that, right, in my mind. And I was like, "There's no way he's gonna get 10,000 people to walk on fire in 3 hours. Like, that's not gonna happen. What are we talking about, right?" And so but he did. He did. That's what happens, right? And you walk on fire. And I will tell you my very first experience of walking on fire. Like they had, it's funny, they have fire lanes and they have everything set up and they have a fire team. And now that I've been on the other side of it, I'm like, oh, it's so cool. Like just the practice of it is awesome. But they have wheelbarrows full of coal that is on fire, right? So it's 800 degrees, 800 degree coals, and they're wheeling it around. And whenever they feel like they need more on their lane, they put it on their lane and move through. Right before I was set to go on my lane, they were like, "Hang on, we need to get some more coal." And I was like, "Oh, of course we do." And I'm like, okay, but I was in the zone, right? Because that's what he teaches, is in the zone. And so I was like, I got this. This is good. I will tell you, I walked on coal. And so it's a 10-foot long firewalk, right? It's not like it's just a it's not a baby step. You're walking. You're literally taking steps. And I got done. I got on the other side, and I was like, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the coals, right? I didn't feel like any, like, it's like you're walking on rocks. I didn't feel the rocks. I didn't feel the heat. I didn't get burned. I didn't get blisters, like nothing. It was like I was floating over those coals. And I came out of it and I was like, okay, I just did something impossible, right? Like to the mind, to the brain, I just did something completely impossible that people cannot do. You cannot do that and not get burned. And I did. And I was like, and that in and of itself changed my whole perspective on life. It changed how I view everything, because then now I was like, no, you just have to learn. You just have to apply. You just have to go and do it. I wouldn't tell everybody just to go walk on fire, right? You got to have some training. You got to have some stuff. But truly, if you make it here and you decide, there is absolutely nothing you cannot do. So that was just one of my biggest, huge stories. I love it. I will always say, go to Tony, go find something out. But okay, to get back to David.
Jumping back in on that. And
Yeah.
Let me know what you want to share or you don't want to share. Did you
cool.
use that reference point of like, I can do what seems to be the impossible when you were diagnosed with breast cancer?
100%. 100%. It was, I just knew, right? Like, and I tell people this a lot. Whenever I was going through it, I had my head down and I had my blinders on, right? And I didn't even know it. I really didn't. Like, like every single day, you're just taking steps forward for whatever it is, whether it's treatment that you have, whether it's just trying to get some energy back. Like, you don't even know. I mean, it's crazy. Whenever, you can tell I'm a person, I have energy. I'm ready to go most of the time. And to be someone that did not have the energy and did not have the get up and go, it kind of freaked me out, because I'm like, are we going to get back here? Like, am I going to get back to myself? And so I literally did just keep my head down, and I knew, I was like, I'm going to keep an open heart, open mind, and I'm just going to keep going, right? Every single day, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep loving. I'm going to keep being grateful, right? And that sounds absolutely crazy to be grateful. Not necessarily that I was grateful for cancer, but grateful for the lessons that it was teaching me along the way. And so I tried with everything that I had. I stayed in that mindset. That just, let's stay. I know that I'm gonna heal, right? I know that what seems to be this really big obstacle standing in front of me, it's okay. I got it. And head down, focus, and let's go, right?
How did you just know that?
Okay. I will tell you this. So, my husband and I were having this conversation not that long ago, and we were kind of talking about like just how we have different perspectives on things. And I was like, my faith is so strong. I just have this knowing. There is a knowing inside of my gut that says, no, it is all going to be okay. Right? It's not that I'm not scared of death. I don't want to die, right? I don't think anybody does, but I've experienced it in my life, right? So my mom passed away whenever I was 16 from cancer. And so that taught me so much. I would never want anyone to lose someone close, right? Because, man, it is heart-wrenching, even today, right? Mom's been gone 32 years. And there's still days that it just will wreck you, right? But there is also, I love deep. And the people that are in my circle, like, I love you, and I'll tell you every day, right? I tell you that I love you, and I tell Maura I love her, right? And it comes from deep, right? It is true, right? It is true to me, and it's true to just everything, because I know what it's like to lose. And so I want those people that are in my life, that are close to me, I want them to know, and I want them to feel it, and I want them to experience every ounce of love that I have to give. And so that's really just what keeps me going. But the faith truly is, I've leaned on God my whole life, and I've trusted in his plan much more than my plan, because he has these grander ideas for me that I can't even dream up. And I know that he's using me, and I know that he's going to put me in the right place. And I say he, she, universe, whatever it is that, that you go for, it's what I just know. And I just trust, that it is all working out for me. And I really live my life that way. it's just going to work out. Like it just is. And so, because my husband was like, how do you know it's going to work out? And I was like, it always has. There's never been a time in my life, and I've had challenges, right? I've lost my mom. I had an alcoholic brother. Like, my dad's fought with all of his health stuff too, right? My marriage is wonderful and great, but it doesn't mean that there are what challenges in it. But every single time, everything that I've experienced, I can always turn back to God, and I can always trust, and I can always, like, it's just my anchor. And I have the faith that it's absolutely going to work.
Love all of that. And I want to hear more. So we're going we're taking a detour, and then we'll come back to, when you decide to facilitate. But you started talking, your faith is a big part of your life. What was your upbringing like? Like, were you religious? Like, how would you kind of share about how your spirituality has evolved since you were younger to where it is today?
Huge. Huge. So I grew up, a really pretty cool, actually. So my mom, I am the youngest of three, but I kind of grew up like an only child, because both of my brothers are a lot older than me. I have a brother that's 16 years older than me, and a brother that's 13 years older than me. So by the time that I was old enough to know what was going on, they were pretty much out of the house. And so my parents were both a little bit older. They were 40 whenever they had me. And so, yeah, so just a little bit of difference in that. But my mom is one of 16. She had 16 brothers and sisters. My grandparents, my grandfather lived to be 99. My grandmother lived to be 102. They had their farm. They grew everything on their farm. The kids raised the farm, right? Did everything. They were married for 76 years. Like, just, you don't hear that anymore. You don't hear those numbers and that stuff. But I came from a very big Catholic family. That was just kind of how I grew up and how I was
Doing
raised. I
God's
went to
work,
Catholic school.
making more Catholic babies. That's great. So
Amen. That's what it
my uncle,
was.
my aunt, same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was always have all the babies, man. Keep producing those Catholics. Hilarious. So that was kind of my upbringing. And then I would say then after mom passed, I still stayed in church. My dad didn't go to church with us, but I still stayed in church.
Did he never
But
go, or he
then
stopped going after your mom passed?
actually he never went.
Hmm.
He never chose to go to the Catholic. Whenever he was being raised, he grew up Baptist. And so he just kind of fell out of church and never really got back into it. So, so I would say my young 20s, I was kind of in and out of the church a little bit. And then once Jay and I got married, I was 24 when we got married. And I really was like, hey, we need to start going back to church. Like, we need to start. This is something that I don't want to let go. So we kind of went back into the church. And then as I got older, as I started looking at different things, I was like, just totally curious about all things, about all religions, about the whole world, really. Like, just my curiosity, like in my 40s, skyrocketed. And so I then was exposed with Tony Robbins, one of his events. I was exposed to Master Co, which he teaches Pranic Healing. And I mean, just it took everything in me. Like every time that I heard him talk, I was just like just all ears. Like, give it to me. I want to hear all of these things. And so I would say that's where my spirituality grew. That's where I really like leaned in and learned a lot of things and learned the art of pranic healing, which is a wonderful practice. I love it. You know, it's kind of everybody. There's so many different energy, quote unquote, healings out there, but I love that Master Co teaches on. He is an engineer by trade, and so the detail that he goes through is insane, right? And it's just it's really cool in that perspective. But he teaches on all the spirituality and all of these just what's the best way to put it? I mean, he teaches on all religions, really, and he's like, you know, we are all. I think you and I discussed this, right? We are just souls having this human experience here. And so how can I learn from that? Right? What is my soul trying to learn here? Right? And how can I find all of these things out? And so I've taken a ton of courses through pranic healing, and that's kind of where the spirituality side has come in for me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all of that, and I want to keep going if you're up for it.
Of course, I'm good.
Knowing what you know now about body, mind, spirit, soul plan, God's plan, what like, and I'm sure you've thought a bunch about this. Like, what was your mother's cancer journey about, in your opinion? And then I'm also curious, like, to hear your own experience of your own cancer journey.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, like it's such an interesting story that I have there with mom being sick first and then me being sick. And hers was very different. She had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, so she had a lymphoma. So it was pretty much everywhere as soon as they found it. Where I had breast cancer. So, you know, I would say, okay, ask me the question one more time. Do you remember?
Well, I think about certain body parts usually are related to certain emotional issues.
Yes.
And, you know, I know it was like that for my brother with pancreatic cancer. It was like to the T, at least in terms of like German new medicine. It was like, oh my God, that is exactly what he was going through before he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, like to the T. And I know the breast can be heart, receiving. There's a lot of things around that chakra and that area of the body. Obviously, your mother's was not the breast. So, but just curious, like knowing, you don't have to share her journey. I guess you could share your own. Like, it's just, I just want to share with the people who are drawn to these kinds of conversations. Like, oh, usually it's not like a random thing, that it's usually connected to a bigger part of our life and our life's curriculum and what we're here to learn and to heal.
Well, so I could say definitely with mom, right? Like I can't speak to what her lessons were that she was technically going through, right? For me, experiencing that such an early age, right? Because so mom was diagnosed whenever I was 9 and passed whenever I was 16. So, I mean, literally for my childhood, it was hospitals, right? Because at that point in time, you have to think like she was getting blood transfusions, right? And, you know, she was getting chemo. When she was getting chemo, half the time she'd be in the hospital after that because it wrecked her system so much. So my experience to that was very much a lot of hospital stays, a lot of up and downs, right? My home life was not it. and so, you know, it's an interesting thing. It's one of the things that I realize now because my kids are so different from me. My kids are homebodies. Like They want to be home. They want to be sitting on the couch watching a movie with me, right? They don't care to go out. And I was a hellion. I mean, I was out all the time. I was trying to drink and I was trying to do drugs and I was trying to escape, right? I learned that now. That's true. Obviously, the home life was such a volatile place to be for me because with everything mom was going through, um she was in the hospitals and everybody was paying attention to her. They absolutely should have been, right? Because she was the one going through something. But at the same time, I had an alcoholic brother that was around a lot. And that alcoholic brother took a lot of things out on me. And so there was many times, I mean, there's days I can tell you, I remember I would come into the house and I would crawl under the window so he didn't see me. Because if he saw me, I knew that it was not going to be good. He didn't lay his hands on me too many times, but he did do that. And just the language that he used and everything that he spat at me, I should say, was just, home wasn't good, right? It was not a fun place to be at. And so I think one of my biggest things that I learned, like, it's interesting. You go through life and you put a lot of things under the rug, right? Like you just keep shoving and you're like, it wasn't that bad. It's fine. I'm fine. I made it. I'm good. I might have drank my way through it or I might have smoked my way through it, but hey, I got through it. I'm fine. I'm married. I'm this, I'm that. And then there was one day where and I had started going to these Tony Robbins conferences and started doing all this stuff. And I realized I was in a position where my husband, I knew he would never, ever, ever hurt me, but he gets loud, right? Like his voice just carries. And if he would be drinking and get loud, all of a sudden I noticed myself shrinking, right? And I'd be like, oh, this is not, but I didn't really know what was going on, right? I mean, it sounds crazy. Like you can hear me talking about it now and you're like, well, of course I know what's going on. But in my head, I couldn't figure it out, right? I didn't know why I was shrinking. I didn't know what all was going on. Ends up, I got a coach and was talking through everything. And she was like, well, it could be that you're relating back to your childhood. And, that's whenever childhood trauma and all of these things started coming into play. And I was like, oh. And I was like, well, I know he's not going to hurt me. And they're like, yeah, but your body, right? Your body keeps score. It tells you all those things. And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, I have a wonderful husband and that man loves me beyond loving me. And I cannot say enough wonderful things for him. So whenever we realized that was truly what was going on, he was like, well, okay, well, I don't got to drink. I'm good. And I was like me feeling like, oh, I'm going to take the fun out of it. Like all this. And he was like, no, it's not. He was like, I in no way, shape or form want you to feel like that. So I'll quit drinking. And just like that, the man quit drinking. And it was just like, okay, but that was really my start to my dive into that childhood trauma and all of those things that kind of come up and really just, once again, it was another thing of just being able to put my head down and do the work, right? And that's one of the things that I will tell anybody out there that does Revelation Breathwork. It does the work for you. It does it. It just, you come out of it and you're like, okay, well, I just lifted 20 pounds off of me. I don't even know what it was. Once again, my body keeps score, so my body does know what it was. But
it's like a pound a year.
I don't have to go over all of the hurt. There's no reason for me to keep bringing it back up. I just know that my body is working through it itself, right? And my body is pushing it out. And my body is getting me to that space. And so that now, because my body has done all that work, my mind is clearer. I can completely just be like, oh, like I don't have the weight of the world sitting in here anymore. I'm not in that space.
What you're saying is huge because so often, and I know at least for me, we can, and I've done this where like I want to understand the issue. So it's like you're saying Revelation Breathwork does the work. Like it just lifts, allows the energy to lift, to be felt, but also to be moved through. And then you're like, oh, I feel lighter.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other modalities, and I'm not like crapping on any modalities, but
No.
this is like a nature of the mind is like, well, you got to understand it, where it came from, and this and that, and then like you're in your head. This is just like, oh, it just lifts. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, my brain wants to be like, what just lifted, and then I kind of got to recontextualize. Well, that was the trauma from then, great, and I feel like I accomplished something. When if we're just present and it just lifts, we don't need to know necessarily. If we need to know, we'll know. It'll pop in. Oh, it's
Absolutely.
about this, and if not, like.
And
Who
you know
cares?
what? There's something that I've kind of learned, like going through processing all of these things, right? There's a certain time, like, and I looked at my husband, I was just like, we have to stop talking about it. Like all we're doing, we're just circling and circling and circling the freaking problem. Just move through it. But that's the beauty of Revelation Breathwork, right? Because it allows me to have an avenue to move through it without having to talk about it all the time. Because whenever we just keep reintroducing that energy and we keep coming back into it, I, I just feel like sometimes you're just not doing it. You're not doing yourself any favors in that perspective. So it works for
Yeah.
me anyway. Stop talking about it, go in, do the work, and move on through. And then you're just going to feel better.
And that was one of the things that I think made this effective when I was at the San Diego Padres working with professional male young men is like they didn't want to talk about anything. They don't want to talk about their feelings. They don't want to talk about what they're struggling with. They don't want to talk about their fears or their insecurities. And with this tool, they didn't have to. It was
Yeah.
just like, just breathe. And they would cry and they would scream and they would yell and they would shake, but like no one had to talk about anything. And it was
Amen.
all
I mean,
good.
I cried the first year. I mean, and they're still, and then now because it was so, so impactful and so powerful. If I don't cry, I'm kind of like, well, that was weird because I cried so much early on. But then now I'm like, I worked through it, right? I just worked through it. I'm much lighter for it. So
So let's go back now. At what point after you experienced it were you like, ooh, I want to take this training? And why did you want to take the training?
I think once again, my curiosity really did expand so much in my 40s. And I was just like, I got to know all things, right? Like I got to know it all. But also at the time too, like whenever I was kind of doing all of these live events with Tony and really just then doing Master Co and starting to express all these things, I was learning so many tools, right? Like just like who knew like that you could do breath work and it would literally make you feel better. Like, it would lift all of this weight. Or, who knew that I could go follow Wim Hof and go do some of his breath work, go jump in the cold plunge and be like, this is invigorating, right? Like, so all these tools started coming at me and I was just like, they make my life so much better, right? Just go for a freaking walk. Who would have thought that makes everything in life better, but it truly does. So at this time I was starting to kind of like pull things together, right? And obviously with Catherine being my person, my partner at that event too. And I saw everything she was doing, right? Doing all these courses online and bringing all this cool knowledge to people and, manifestation and all the things that it can bring. I was like, I could do that. Like, why not? Like, let's start doing some things. So at that point in time, I was like really trying to build things out, right? Just trying to figure out, okay, what can I do? What can I offer? And so it came to a place where I was going to do courses online as well. And I did that for a little bit of time. And then I kind of fell off of it. Now I'm back in it again, just because the tools are too great not to share. So, but with that, I was like, Revelation Breathwork is like literally one of the biggest things in my life that made a huge impact so fast, right? Like, I mean, literally the first time you do it, you're going to experience something. So it made such a quick impact that I was like, well, of course I want to teach it. So then what I started doing is I offer packages within my course as well that were just already pre-recorded breathworks and different stuff that I had done with different groups and different people. But every single time that I did one, every single time that I had a group together, like there's quite a few, like you talk about having friends from all over the world. So within Tony Robbins, that's definitely all over the world. So there was a group of us, I think there's probably 10 or 12 of us that were kind of meeting just after some of these events and, just going over life and what we're doing and all this stuff. And I did a breathwork for them. And one of the gentlemen, he was from Finland, and he still to this day is like, I don't know what you did, but that's the best breathwork I've ever had. And I was like, dude, I didn't do anything. That's the divine, right? That's the setup. That's what Jason created in Revelation, to have a revelation, right? To have a massive change. And so, yeah, it's always just been, I always have the best feedback, and always everybody, like they have experiences, and it's just a cool space to be in. So that was really where I wanted to start teaching. And then just recently to actually start teaching inside of Revelation Breathwork. I did a breathwork, and at the end of it, like, I've been saying this whole time, like I have these conversations with the divine, and literally it was just, you need to call Jason. You just call Jason. Figure it out. I don't like, it wasn't like, it's like there wasn't this plan in place. There was nothing there. It was just like, just call Jason. Talk to him, and y'all figure it out. Like, that's kind of like what God said. You can go figure it out, but go talk to Jason. And I was like, okay. So then it wasn't 2 weeks later that you had the email out asking for facilitators. And I was like, okay, there's my sign.
Well, I think one of the things that makes you such an impactful facilitator is related to your faith, which is what you just shared with this gentleman from Finland, which is humility. It's very easy for the ego to hijack anything, especially healing and spirituality and all that crap. But Revelation Breathwork really demands, I would say, it is humility, that the breath does the work. It's like the athletes that are like, hey, all glory to God. Like, I'm not doing this. It's the same thing. It's like, I'm not the Revelation Breathwork facilitator, what we teach, and you embody this before Revelation, which is what makes it such a, when you start to do that, it's just anything you do with that humility is going to bring the power of the divine, I use God, into the room, into the moment. And it's that humility of like, I'm not doing anything. Like, truly, it really, like, I'm holding a space, I'm bringing love. And then it's up, it's like, it's out of my hands, which is, I think, takes all the pressure off a lot of these other modalities or systems or things that are about like the technique or the process, and you got to do it a certain way. It's so simple, which is why I love it. And honestly, why I haven't earlier in my professional life as a coach, I tried to get a lot of different, and I understand like different people relate to different tools. The way my brain works though is like, it's in a way, it's like never enough. I need this tool for this, or this person's doing that. Oh, and now I need to, and it was like, this is simple. Just stop all that. Simple is easy. Just do this one for me. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay. Simple. Breath is simple. That's it. I just hold space, and like stuff happens for them, and I just have to like keep my heart open. Awesome. So thanks for letting me share that around with you. You're inspiring me. All right. So next, do you remember, because it's been like 5 years or so probably since you took the facilitator training, do you remember what your experience was like in the training? Do you remember the first time you facilitated, or doing it online where you're like, oh, I like this? Or some people are a little intimidated at first. Like, do you remember going through the training? Because I think we had levels at that time, where now it's just all the levels are one big training. So I'm curious if you remember your experience.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I remember going through training, because I remember, like, at first I was like, like, you just get in there and you're like, this is going to be about, and then, then you say breakout rooms, and I'm like, oh no, like that first initial, like, I'm going to have to wait, what? You kind of, everything freaks out for a second. And then you just have to, once again, Um, remove the ego and just be like, okay, wait, I'm just here learning, right? I am just here to learn the experience. We'll see what happens. And I do remember like it was easy though. Like whenever you get into it, if you truly do just come into it and you just want to hold space and you just want to help people, like if you keep that forefront and you're like, I do remember one of my very early on breathworks that I facilitated by myself. I remember I got in my head and I was like, oh, I wonder if they're having an experience. Oh, I wonder if they think I'm good as this, or I wonder if, gosh, what are they doing? Am I saying everything right? Or am I too loud? Am I too soft? Right? You know, you go through all of it in your head. And I remember once again, the lovely divine speaking and just said, shut up, stop. You're doing everything that you need to be doing. Just stay in your space, hold space, and trust that I'm working. I'm doing, baby. I got it. Right. And so for me, that's the easiest part is I get to give it up to God every single time. And I know like the music, it's going to come through and it's going to speak to you in some way. And so whenever it does, well, say it out loud. There you go. Right. Like, because there's going to be something that's going to pop up and it might hit somebody great that day. It might not, but it's what's in your heart. And so staying in that space and just truly giving everything to God to work through. And that's probably the best thing, you know, and that's really what Pranic Healing teaches too. It's very much it's coming through me, but that doesn't mean it is me, right? It's still the divine. He's using me to work. He's using us. And so whenever we come into it in that frame of mind, that it just takes all the worry out of it. At that point, you can just be like, I got it. Like whatever is supposed to happen is supposed to happen. And I don't know what that is. So why am I sitting here like trying to make assumptions on what someone else is feeling, right? Because that's not my job. My job is simply to be right here, to hold my space and my peace in my heart. And then they're going to be able to feel that.
Amen, sister. So you mentioned the music, and I know music's, you know, music's big for me. So it's always surprising that like the music sometimes isn't big for everybody else, which is totally cool, but it is for me. And I know you've shared it is for you. Can you share with me like your relationship with the music and facilitating Revelation Breathwork? Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. It really just, music's always been so big to me. I think it resets our energy. I think that it can pump us up. I think you need to dance around the kitchen. I think you need to get it in your bones, right? And I can't dance, but I still dance around the kitchen. So it will move through you. And I think it speaks to you at different times. I could hear the same song 5 times, yet each time can be something different, right? Something different. I know there for a while, what is it? I Am Light. I Am Light. Played that at the end of Breathworks a lot for a while. And every single time I heard it, and it was really funny because there was times that I'd be doing breathwork and I was like, I know he's going to play it. I know he's going to play it. Like, and you did. And I was like, see, there we go. But every single time there's something different. I pull something different in, right? Of what it's like for me to be that light and then for me to go share it and for me to have it. But I do think that music just speaks to us. I think it's another one, right? If we are talking about intuition, right? If we're talking about truly knowing ourselves and the God within us, then I think that's how he gives us messages. I think that it's through music, it's through people, it is through movies, right? We just have to be open and aware to it and let it come in. So that's my biggest thing with music.
Is there one song if I had to ask you to create a playlist tomorrow for a group and I don't give you any other information, you're like, okay, here's the song for me that always delivers. Like what song would that be?
It's probably I Am Light. It probably is. It's just wonderful. It's just it truly, like, I don't know, it just speaks to me because I think that is, it's truth, right? We are all light, and we all have something to share with the world, and we all have this, like, big beautiful light within us, and so let's let it out, let it shine in whatever way it can be. Yeah, so for me, I'd say that's it. And then Primal Scream, it's always different, right? If you give me a good Primal Scream song, like, I think there was one time you did Florence and the Machine, and I was like, oh yeah, like it was, there was just those, the Primal Scream songs are always wonderful for me too. So
Yeah, she is the queen of scream. She's got so many good ones.
yeah,
Florence and the Machine, from Shake It Off to Cosmic Love to, oh my gosh, You've Got the Love. There's so many great ones. And just
yeah,
for anyone listening, I Am Light by India.Arie, Arie. Check it out for sure. She's got many different versions of that.
yeah.
You've been so generous with your time. I don't think I have any more questions. I have a lot more questions, but I want to respect the time. We could always have you on again to
Wonderful.
talk about more stuff. But is there anything else you'd love to share with people? The idea with these is to just expose the world, people who are interested in facilitating breathwork and Revelation Breathwork, what our grads are doing, what they're about.
Yeah. You know, for me, I just think it's a wonderful, once again, tool, right? It is a tool that we can use, but it's also a tool that we can share with the world. And like you said, I'm also a very much, I love simplicity, right? I feel like our world is so chaotic, and so there's so many things being thrown at us all the time. So if we can simplify, if we can just take things down, right? Like, literally. And I get it. Like, the, life is going to life, right? Things are going to happen, and that's totally okay, because that is how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we move through things. But if we can keep it simple, if we can keep love and faith, um, face forward, and truly that's what we lead with, then I just think you're always going to be in the right place at the right time, right? That life is going to work for you. It is, if we can always, like, face life in that perspective, right? Um, yeah. And so with the facilitators, with anybody that's thinking about it, like, I just highly recommend it, because you can take this and you can use it for all kinds of things. Like, you can push it into all kinds of, like I said, courses. If you're a person out there that, that's doing any kind of healing, any kind of courses, anything like that, add it on there. Even if you just want to be a person in your community, like, we have a warm center in Henderson, Kentucky. So it is Women and Children Addiction Center is what it is. And so, because addiction runs in my family, I was like, you know what? I want to give back to them somehow. How do I want to give back? What do I want to do? Well, I started teaching breathwork classes to them, right? And believe me, it was crazy. There were some that it wasn't for, but there were some that was just like, you changed my life today, right? And so whenever someone can come to you and they can tell you that, it's really big, and it makes you feel good that you were able to hold space for someone in that perspective, and help them through their own healing. It's one of the most impactful things you can do.
Mm. I love you, Karen. I'm so grateful that you're part of our world, that you get to share your love and your gifts with everybody else. And thank you for making the time to be here.
Yeah, it was
Again,
so
Monday
good.
nights. So Mondays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Karen's going to be leading classes inside of our membership. There's 2 week free trial. So just come to experience her love. I promise you, you'll be so glad that you did. She's starting a series on the chakras and pranic healing. And then she's going to do a whole series on some of the lessons and things she's learned from Tony Robbins after studying with him for however many decades and doing all of his events. So it's going to be really empowering, love-filled experience with Karen. So thanks, Karen.
Absolutely. I love you. Thank you so
Love
much
you.
for having me on today.